Welcome back to some of the best stories from r/TalesFromTechSupport. I hope you had a great day. Thanks for all the likes and comments on the last video. And now let's take a look at the first story. It's called 60 Days of Work. Jenny had their laptop upgraded recently and was missing a printer they previously had. Our higher up said it's fine to remap the printer without a request, so I took the ticket. This was my first mistake. Today she called, asking if I could sort out the printer. Sure thing, I'll help out. I explained that I will disconnect the printer and reconnect it using the new IP address. I got the usual response of, yeah, go ahead. Even upgraded Adobe Reader for her, since the version they were using has issues with paper tray selection. Then she asked, where's my print queue? I explained that because I had to remove the old printer, the print queue for that printer was gone, and she would need to reprint anything she needs to print out. She was mildly annoyed. I had 60 documents in that print queue, and you've deleted them. Then she started asking me if I'm prepared to do 60 days of work to replace her lost work. So, just to clarify, Jenny got a new laptop. Due to the transfer process, the print was mapped incorrectly and was offline. It never worked on her new laptop until now. Yet she was still printing documents to a dead printer queue. I told her I'd need to remove it to remap it, and she expected all her documents to be saved in the print queue. Then she lost it when they were not there. Had to terminate the call. I cannot even wrap my head around that incredible logic. I've worked in IT for a while now. I'm honestly at a loss for words. The next story is called Made Her Cry. A few years back, one of my publishers called me in to help with an emergency project. Basically, me translating and editing a huge body of boring text. And it had to be done in the office, cause it was a key national project. In the office, there was a girl about my age who was relatively new. She just sat there all week, working intensely but slowly, mumbling and looking stressed. On the second to last day of my project, we are alone in the office. I make some comment about, this is so incredibly tedious. And she says something to the effect of, you are telling me. We talk for a bit. I explain what I'm doing. Wait, what are you doing? Apparently, for an equally huge book, someone really high up in government decided that he didn't like a bunch of the specific terms they made up for the project. So at last minute, hands over a list of 40 or so. They all need to be swapped out. She's been at it for like 8 days. I'm thinking, okay, it's like an hour of work at the most if it's all in one big file. Wait a minute. Oh no. Can you show me how you're doing this? She finds a word, pastes over it manually, next. Find, paste, next. Don't use Ctrl F, use Ctrl H. What's that? Ctrl F is find. Ctrl H is find and replace. But that's what I'm already doing. Look, just try. Just do it. You'll see. Pops it up, kinda speaking to herself. What's this? Find and source text, target text, replace, replace all. She starts mumbling to herself. Oh my god, oh my god, oh no, oh my god, why? Oh my god, oh no, and crying softly. The third story is called Web Developers. I have never met a web developer who has a clue as to what DNS is and what it does. Every time a client hires a web developer to build them a new website, the developer always changes the name servers on the domain to point to their host. Guess what happens? Yep, email breaks. Guess who gets blamed? Not the web developer. To combat this, I have a strict policy to not give a web developer control of a client's domain. Occasionally I get pushback, but then I explain why they are not allowed to have control. Usually goes something like this. Can you send me the credentials for the client's domain register? I cannot. I can take care of what you need though. Sure, I just need you to update the name servers. It would be easier if I had control though, so I don't have to bother you. It's not a bother. I can change the name servers though, as it will break the client's email. I can update the A record for you. I don't know what that is. And that is why I'm not giving you control of the client's domain. The last story is called How to Shut Down a PC. Whenever a user puts in a ticket about the computer being slow, the first thing I do is check the uptime. 9 times out of 10, there's a system uptime, on Windows 7 at that, of well over 40 days, and a reboot clears up all their problems. Occasionally a user argues about this, and today was one of those days. This particular user was one of our regional directors, so not really anyone I could report her to for her completely terrible behavior, because the VP that oversees them is just as bad. But whatever. I got a sysadmin job offer from a different company yesterday, and I'm putting in my notice tomorrow, so I don't honestly even care at this point. As I was explaining to her that we recommend rebooting computers once every 7 days, just as a maintenance thing, she interrupts me with, "Do not even tell me to reboot the computer. I shut it down every single night." We also commonly see users who think logging off is rebooting, or turning the monitor off is shutting the computer off, and none of the computers are all in ones. I tell her Windows is reporting an uptime of 41 days, 19 hours, 52 minutes. Well, the computer is lying, because I literally shut it down every night. Okay, sure, let's pretend the operating system is lying and trying to make you look bad. I'll play along. I asked her to walk me through how she shuts the computer down, as I was remoted onto the system. One big, heavy, pretty, sure she was rolling her eyes at me sigh later, and I get, "There, I shut it down. The computer is still on. If it were off, I'd have been disconnected. I can still move around and open programs. The computer is definitely not shut down." "Yes it is. The screen is black. Did you press the button on the monitor? That's how you shut a computer down. Are you new?" "No, I'm not new. I've been doing jobs like this since '97. I've also been in the position and my soon-to-be former employer for just over a year, so definitely not new." I try to explain to her the difference between a computer and a monitor, and she argues with me for a good 5 minutes about how I'm wrong. Different tactic. Okay, well, let's move on. Let me walk you through how IT recommends shutting a computer down. She agrees, along with a snide comment about how we are always telling them to do things incorrectly somehow. Whatever. With her watching, I walk her step by step through just rebooting the computer, and add in, if you want to turn it off, click on shut down instead of restart. Mostly I didn't want to shut it down, because I wasn't entirely confident I could convince her to push the power button on the tower to turn it back on, and she'd have lost her mind thinking I broke the computer somehow. That should be it, but I'm not that lucky today. Instead, she flips and starts yelling at me about how I broke the computer because Windows went away, and now there's this black screen with all kinds of words, the post screen, and how she'd be talking to the IT director and CIO if I got her documents deleted. Mid freak out at me, the computer finishes rebooting and drops her back at the Windows logon screen. After she logged in, I showed her the system uptime again, which was now reporting about 3 minutes. Oh, no apology for being fantastically incorrect or yelling at me about it, because why would she want to do that? And of course it was running fine after a reboot. The IT director threw out the 1-star review she gave me, trying to state that I was rude to her and acted like she didn't know how to use a computer, primarily because he overheard my half of the conversation. Thanks for watching the video to the end. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please don't forget to leave a like, comment and subscribe. And if you have time, watch another one of my videos. Also, if you want to support me further, check out the channel membership or Patreon. And now I hope you have a great day. See you soon. Bye bye.